when we'll start with the most clear one I've had. When I want to say 16, my family operates a Bible camp in Grand Mesa, Colorado. And I was in the high school guys volunteer cabin, right, where all the high school guys are staying to help out with chores. And the way this cabin's set up, it's a big rectangle. And there's about 2/3 of the way back, there's a plywood divider that only extends about 2/3 across, across the way. So you've got a couple bunk beds on each side. And we're all laying down for the bed, hunkering down. And I'm real tired and sleepy because I'm a early to bed, early to rise guy. And something hits this divider, right? And my cousin and another friend, they're on bunk beds right next to it. So I get mad at them. It's like, hey, knock that off. I'm trying to get some sleep. And they're like, wasn't us. I was like, all right, whatever. So this keeps happening for about 15 minutes, I want to say. And sometimes it is my cousin and the other guy goofing around. But there are times where it's just something's hitting it. And so as we're investigating, it gets to a point where I'm standing perpendicular to this divider. My cousin and the friend are to my left in the cabin. I have another buddy who's in his bunk bed to my right, nowhere near the divider. And it just shakes, like something just hit it right in front of me. And it was the craziest thing.
Did anything happen next?
No,
Did you see or hear anything else?
No, that was the end of that one. What happened was we went outside to see if we could recreate it. Like we're trying to figure out maybe there's an animal outside, and apparently we were making a big ruckus. So the leader of the high school volunteer guys, he came out. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, something was hitting the divider in here. We can't figure it out." So he prayed with us, and we just went to bed.
And that was it?
Yeah. Prayer is a very powerful weapon.
What do you think? What do you think that was?
It was a miracle.
Nice. I think it's water droplets. No, I'm just kidding. What do you think it was?
Since it is a place of spiritual warfare, it is. I'm going to be very careful because people are way too quick to be like demons.
You're talking to one right now.
That it is, what's that?
You said you're talking to one right now. It's me. It's all demons.
Look at those eyebrows.
No, I'm not the demon. I just call everything a demon.
You got demons all around you.
So you're saying it was a place of spiritual battle, and you're afraid to say it was a demon, but you think it was some type of bad entity?
Very possibly. I'm not. Again, I'm not 100% certain what it was because, it was really. It was just the one night that it happened, and again, it's a place of spiritual warfare, so there's a battle for people's souls, so it's possible. The other possibility is, God, I'm gonna sound crazy, but I'm in the right place for it. One of the guys that was sleeping next to the bed, he had a real rough time. That was a real rough period in his life. Hopefully, it's gotten better since, but I haven't kept up with him. I think his dad had left his mom or whatever. So what another possible explanation for it is in his distress, he was psychokinetically, I think is the term, striking the wall, which is way more innocuous because that's just a distress response.
Right. I think there's definitely a possibility for people using their mind to rattle their surroundings.
I've noticed when I'm playing video games, sometimes in a really intense moment, the game will freeze up. I don't know if it's coincidence. It's happened more than once.
Interesting.
Especially with internet, or the internet will freeze for a moment. It doesn't always happen, so it's tough to replicate.
Maybe it's written into the game that way.
Maybe. It might just be processing power, computational processing power. But then what is reality other than computational processing power?
Ian, have you heard of information theory?
Actually, very vaguely, but tell me about it.
I I guess I should rephrase this. My friend, Inspiring Philosophy, he's had a bunch of people ask to go on Timcast with you specifically, I think. Yeah, Christian idealism or information theory is basically the idea that the fundamental underlying substance of all reality is information. So the divide between what we would call the spiritual world and the material world isn't really divided underneath that the two worlds, material and spiritual, is information, which solves what's called the interaction problem. Like, how do spirits interact with the material world? And it's because we've got the same fundamental underlying substance underneath the atomic structure, and all that is information.
There's like subatomic spin, but then that's all like momentum and vortexes, and that can be calculated geometrically, spatially, which is like, I don't know what's causing the data to process the way it's processing, because it is information, but like what's the cause? Is it just other information? That's a big question.
I would say, from being a devout Christian, I would say it's information in the mind of God.
It's like river flows downhill, not because of information, but because it's the path of least resistance. Is that that's how I see God, is it's a function of least resistance.
No, I think God is the self-existent personal being. And it is a being with agency. Or he, I shouldn't say it, that's very disrespectful.
Agency, meaning that it has free will?
Yeah.
Dude, if black holes have free will, if that, just would need to calculate it to believe it.
Are contingent things, or things that exist, or things that cannot exist on their own. The only thing that can exist on its own is God. God is the only self-existent thing. But we're kind of straying a little bit from the original point of psychokinesis. A lot of poltergeist activity, when it's investigated, actually ends up being most likely psychokinesis of distressed teenagers.
There's this study called the phantom DNA experiment, where they bombarded DNA in a vacuum with photons for a while, and then they removed the DNA from the vacuum, and the photon, it's by Gary Gaev is the guy's name that did the study. The photons stay in place and keep revolving around this vacant spot as if the DNA was still present. So that could be psychokinetic. I mean, there's a reason why it's that. Maybe the word reason has no merit in that state, but that is a function of like energy remaining after where there's no matter to move. So like, you think you need a finger to flick that thing, but it might just be the energy is doing it as if there's something flicking it.
Yeah, that's a little beyond me. I would want to see the reproducibility.
You have to, because it could have been a fly bumping into it. It could have been wind.
Yeah, I love that stuff though. I think about the psychokinetic or telekinetic abilities a bunch, and I think I don't know. Is that the movie Carrie? Doesn't Carrie have that issue in the movie? It's been a really long time, right? Doesn't she get so distressed that she ends up burning the place down with her brain? She burns
her house down.
I mean, I don't know if she physically does it. I always felt like it was in her mind. Right. Not that. I mean, that's Stephen King. He's plugged into a whole other realm.
Pyrokinesis.
Pyrokinesis.
It's not just that though. She does it.
Well, she does a lot of things. Yeah. But I think I only bring that up because I do think that is a thing that happens.
Psychokinesis.
Yeah, I mean, our government studied that too.
What is that? Men who stare at goats? Well, that's something different.
I think Men Who Stare at Goats is remote viewing.
That is remote viewing. Yeah, but they were also trying to. It's been a while since I read that book, but I think they were trying to actually stop a goat's heart, right? So isn't that beyond just viewing? I think that was them trying to actually control things with their brain. Whereas I think Stargate was them trying to look through the window of their brain through a portal to Mars, or even 10,000 years ago. But yeah, the government thinks this thing is possible.
If the neural net is actually like a tool of psychokinesis, you're able to either plug your brain into a computer and move the pieces around, which could cause things to move around outside of your body, then you could do that wirelessly, technically. Maybe that's just already happening in reality in some way. And then we're building a tool to kind of hyper accentuate it.
It would be interesting, John, if you followed up with that guy. I wonder if he experienced anything else. I mean, I don't know if you said you don't talk anymore, but curious, if you thought that was even a possibility, be like, whatever happened to him? And I mean, I guess
I could probably get a hold of him. His mom was close friends with my uncle who who's the camp director for a good many years. It's actually funny debating whether or not I should say the name. I probably won't.
Don't put him on blast.
Oh yeah, don't.
What's that?
Don't put him on blast without his consent.
Oh no. I wouldn't say
Favorable.
any names. But there's Bigfoot sightings at the summer camp, the Bible camp, that are probably just my uncle and his brother, which is really funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying your uncle and brother could be Sasquatch?
They're both tall, rather hairy gentlemen. So. That's one of the fun things about the camp. Another thing happened to my cousin where two of my cousins. This is a story they told me. Two of my cousins are hanging out in one of the cabins, and one's sitting on like a shelf, and then all of a sudden their face went dark, and they said move, and so the one that's kind of standing down from just on the ground moves, and a light drops right where they were standing, and the one on the ground goes, "Hey, good call out." And the one that was sitting on the shelf where their face went dark said, "What? I didn't say anything."
That's good.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a story from we had a caller like a month or two ago who told us about, remember the guy who's at war and he was sleeping. I think it was in Europe during World War II, I believe. And someone came up to this guy and woke him up and said, "Hey, you got to move and sleep over there." And he got up and left. And then by the time he went to his other like battalion or wherever they were at, they were like, "Why are you here?" Because in the time it took for him to leave where he was and go to this next place, the place he left was bombed and everyone died. And then the person that told him to move wasn't like alive because he was wearing a completely different uniform that he recognized as being from something else that was nowhere nearby. So like when I say not alive, like it was like either someone astral projected there or it was a ghost or something. But someone told this guy to get up and leave, and he survived.
Could it be like the voice of God telling that person to move, and the girl actually didn't sit? Because I had an experience like that about 5 months ago in Miami where it was like 2 a.m. and I was playing this game really in the zone. Like sometimes when you're doing a task and you get into this repetitive like flow state, I just heard the voice. It went rain, and then thunder struck, and then it started raining. I was like, whoa.
Maybe it's just intuition.
Yeah.
No.
I was
No.
inside. And it was very similar to hearing like move. It was just one word, and I was like, whoa. And then within moments, there was a response. That could have been her hearing the word move. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I that one I'd have to talk to one of my cousins about because it was too my whole family ran this camp for decades.
And she felt like she heard the word move from the other person, like there was a catalyzing location from where the sound came from. It wasn't just booming in her head. She felt like it was told from someone near her.
Yeah, so it was one of them was sitting on the shelf, and the one that was sitting on their shelf, their face went dark, and they said move. So the one standing underneath the light, like understood the other cousin is speaking and moved. But it was a weird experience for both of them.
And then the person on the shelf denied saying it. That's what makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
Because maybe she didn't say it, or he. I don't know. I picture two
Who
girls.
knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm a skeptic believer. I believe in a lot of paranormal things, but I also I go to the natural explanation first. And I don't have a natural explanation for that one.
Did you get the story from the girl? Was it girls? For some reason, I keep picturing 2 girls, or was it 2 boys, or what?
No, guy and a girl.
A guy, the person that moved.
I forget which one was in which position, though. I'd have to ask.
So you know which one told you the story? Was the one that moved, or the one sitting on the shelf? You don't remember?
I think both of them actually.
Oh, wild!
Recounted the tale. Yeah.
Why is someone most likely to lie or something?
Yeah, the person on the shelf said. I would be surprised if it was the person on the shelf.
The guy cousin, he was with me for the striking of the divider.
So this place got a lot of weird stuff going on.
Is it built on top of a cemetery?
I had another friend who saw some stuff. like visions, but he was also going through a really, really rough emotional time, and that could have just been his own mind.
I wonder if these places, like you were saying earlier, these like more spiritual places, they, congregate people who are dealing with a lot of different things, and things happen there more than other places.
Possibly. Yeah, it's possibly. Those are the only one I personally experienced there was the divider being
paranormal research of these types of places and see if there's a spike in activity.
Right.
I would love to do a genuine paranormal investigation there.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be like the ghost hunter shows because I hate them. They don't
Yeah.
do paranormal investigation. They're
Yeah.
there to entertain you and scare you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them either.
We got to get the right tools to measure that kind of subatomic fluctuations and stuff.
Yeah, the tools. I'm skeptical of the tools.
Right. I
really hate EMF readers.
I love that sentence.
Like, okay, well, one, if you start waving that around your house, it's going to freak out because I've got I'm talking to you on a computer. That's an electric machine. My cell phone, electric machine.
Right.
The atmosphere just has electricity in it, so sometimes that can just set it off. So it's a terrible tool for investigation. One that I want to investigate the tool itself are the old analog spirit boxes. Those things that scan radio stations, and spirits are supposed to be able to like pull words from it and push it through the box.
I forgot about those.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
The analog ones I am interested in. I really want to do an experiment where I grab one at my house where I'm fairly confident there's no untoward spirit presence, and just let it sit there and do its thing, and then just if it spits out words, start recording.
So here's my question. I believe you said you were a devout Christian. How do you feel about doing that and basically trying to communicate with the dead?
I wouldn't try to communicate with the dead. If they're communicating with me, I'll let you know. My thing on the spirits is I'm going to try and figure out how to articulate this well and sensibly. So we use the word angel and demon, and we kind of just default to those being the only two spirits, but I think that's mistaken. Because angel refers not to a we don't say angel and it refers to a very specific thing.
Yeah, there's lots of angels.
It's a job description, not a description of the being itself.
Right. There's angels that are wheels within wheels.
Say that again.
There's angels that are wheels within wheels. There's cherubim. There's all types of things. But yeah, they do. Yeah,
the seraphim, which are like serpentine spirits with wings. You've got the cherubim, which I forget their description. And so I imagine demons are much the same, where you have fallen cherubim, fallen seraphim.
Right.
I believe that I'm probably one of the few Christians that unironically believes in Wendigo. I think Wendigo are just people possessed by a particular kind of spirit that only exists in northern United States.
Oh yeah, I bet Tony Merkel probably does too.
Who that? Say again?
Tony Merkel from the Confessionals. He's Christian, big into Sasquatch being a time traveling, portal hopping creature.
I'm super skeptical of Sasquatch. I'm more open to the woodland forest spirit.
Because Sasquatch was your dad and uncle.
What's that?
Sasquatch is your dad and uncle. We've covered this.
Oh yeah.
we
only the one that the
Sasquatch was on our show. We know for
we did have Sasquatch on our show.
Was it Andrew?
No.
Andrew,
no. No, we had
you definitely got that Sasquatch.
A real Sasquatch.
I thought it was interesting how you said angels and demons are like job descriptions, in that a spirit can become angelic and then become demonic depending on their behavior.
Excuse me, hiccup. I'm not angel. The word angel just means messenger. That's why it's a job description. That's why we describe seraphim and cherubim as angels. They're messengers of God, but there's very clearly more to the spiritual world than just what we typically think of as angels and demons. So to me, investigating the paranormal is not, I think of it as trying to just like discovering a new animal, right?
Have you
sorry to interrupt there.
No, it's okay. Now, you have to be careful because obviously if you're doing this sort of thing, you can come across the demon, like the genuine demonic that's out there to hurt you, to lie, to destroy you body and soul. So there's definitely things that I would be cautious on. I'm not interested in contacting the dead. The Holy Scriptures are very clear very clear that that's a no-go. But I have no problem talking to just a spirit that, maybe it's an angel of what we would classify as an angel on God's team.
Right.
Maybe it's just, yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
and I don't know too much about it, but the Catholic Church does invest a lot of time into investigating paranormal activity.
are you familiar with Cameron Bertuzzi of Capturing Christianity?
I've heard that name, but I haven't watched anything. No.
Okay, he has a lot of interviews with various Catholic exorcists.
Interesting.
So those are interesting.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. If you, this is where I've learned so much about things like remote viewing. I was super I would have never believed in remote viewing had I not listened to his podcasts on it, because he came out and was he showed, just laid out all the evidence for it. He interviewed some of the remote viewers, like one that saw he saw an alien moon base. Although this remote viewer and Jimmy Akin are both skeptical of that experience, just because there's remote viewing it's accurate enough that it's not random.
Right.
It's accurate enough that there is something to the phenomena, but it is not accurate enough to be dependable. So if a remote viewer, especially something where we can't verify it, like the moon, right?
Right. Although I'm pretty sure it is a moon base up there.
It's the Nazis.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
Oh shit! Are we allowed to say that on YouTube?
No, yeah, for sure. The Nazis are inside the moon, and they're also in Antarctica.
Yeah, you just don't call people names. Just don't call people Nazis to their face.
Right. Unless they came from the moon.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they literally were in the party, I guess.
Last time I was on a YouTube stream, I accidentally made a joke that was too edgy.
On that note, John, we have to let you go.
No, that's fine. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, John, thank you so much, man. We're glad we got you on.
Thanks, man.